I've always loved that sacred hush just before dawn, the kind of silence that isn't empty but full. Full of soft promises, of breath held between the stars and the sun. Light doesn't burst in then, it tiptoes, threads itself gently through the slats of the blinds like it's asking permission to grace her skin. Golden, reverent, almost worshipful. Our home, mahogany, glass and old soul charm, was built for moments like that. Mornings steeped in routine and quiet affection. Coffee bubbling in the kitchen. Her voice, soft and melodic, humming some half-remembered tune from a dream. Bare feet brushing against polished wood. I'd memorized those sounds like scripture. I held them close because they made the world feel still. That morning felt no different, at first. I sat by the window with a mug in hand, watching dew slide down the garden leaves like liquid diamonds. She was still upstairs, or so I believed, sleeping, maybe pretending. Lately I found myself wondering, how did someone like her ever end up loving someone like me? The answer was beginning to take shape. Maybe she never did. Maybe she loved what I gave her, safety, certainty, control. And I gave them freely. Until I couldn't. It was just past midnight, 12:17. The hallway was dark, save for a sliver of light leaking out from under the office door. Her voice was low and laced with venom. I stopped mid-step just before the creak in the floorboard melted into the shadows of the stairwell. I didn't feel panic. My pulse didn't spike. It slowed, steadied, like it had in Fallujah, Budapest, Karachi, Manila. My body remembered. That calm breath between chaos and blood. Her whisper carried. Baby, this idiot doesn't suspect a thing. Send your A-team tomorrow. Make it look like a robbery gone bad. She laughed then. Quiet. Cruel. He's probably dreaming about pancakes or something pathetic. My world didn't tilt. It aligned. My fingers curled around the railing, not from fear, but readiness. I had a full day to play pretend. I watched her from behind, practice smiles, counted the seconds between her texts and her lies. She wore red that night, my favorite. A calculated move. She smelled of sin wrapped in bergamot. She slid her hand over mine and asked, "You okay, babe?" There was that look again. A softness practiced in the mirror. Just tired, I replied. Didn't sleep well. She leaned in and kissed my cheek. Sleep better tonight. The first time I took a life I was 19. Afghanistan. Ridgeline. A bolt-action .308. One round straight through the throat. No screaming. Just the wind. The way it sighed made me think God turned his face away. That silence stayed with me longer than the kill. And that same silence haunted our home the next night. At 2 a.m. they came. Black SUVs. No lights. No engine roar. For men. Boots soft. Movements practiced. 2 upstairs. 2 through the kitchen. Suppressors drawn. Professional. Efficient. But they weren't ready for what I had waiting. Claymores tucked behind the decorative vase at the front. Flashbangs hidden beneath the stair rug. A tripwire, steel-threaded, invisible, drawn across the study entrance. I didn't meet them with panic. I met them with memory. When they stepped inside, the house exploded, not with fire but with fury. White light. Shattering noise. 3 were out before they even hit the ground. The 4th, well, I gave him something to remember me by. Marine precision. No hesitation. No forgiveness. I didn't just survive her betrayal. I ended it. I didn't miss. Not a shot. When the dust settled and the silence wrapped around the house like a shroud, I walked into the living room and flicked on the lamp. Warm light spilled over the wreckage, splintered wood, shattered glass, and the motionless figures on the floor. Then I saw her. She stood at the top of the stairs, robe half open, hands trembling. Her face was pale, stripped of all pretense. She looked like a ghost caught in the wrong haunting. I didn't speak. Just watched as she descended 1 step at a time, bare feet barely making a sound, her wide eyes scanning the scene in horror. "What the hell?" she breathed. What did you do?" "You should sit," I said, voice calm, steady, like rainfall tapping gently on steel. That's when she saw them. The bodies. The weapons. And me, crouched beside the last one, wiping his blood from my gloves with a dish towel from the kitchen. I wasn't in a hurry. Death had already come and gone. I was just cleaning up after it. You knew?" she stammered, voice breaking. "I always knew," I said without looking up. "You didn't hide it well." She tried then. Well, she tried. That tired, trembling act. The wide, pleading eyes. The quiver in her voice. "I was forced," she said almost convincingly. "I didn't want this. He threatened me. Said he'd hurt you if I didn't help. I swear." I disabled his weapon before he stepped foot inside. I cut in, cool and factual. I knew his team structure better than he did. I tracked their formation, intercepted their comms. You weren't the only one making calls. And just like that, the tears dried. Her spine straightened and the fear turned to something sharper. Her expression changed. No more innocence, no more charade. Just calculation. So this was a game to you? She asked, head tilting. No, I said, standing slowly. It was an exit strategy. From my coat, I pulled a small flash drive and tossed it onto the coffee table. It landed with a soft clink, small but weighty with everything it contained: recordings, account numbers, contact names. Her name, front and center. She stared at it. You're turning me in? No. I picked up the remote, clicked a button, and the security monitors flickered to life. Black and white footage of the intruders creeping through the shadows. And then her voice, clear, undeniable, echoed from the speakers. Every damning word she thought whispered in secret. I stepped close to her, leaned in and whispered, I'm not turning you in. I'm letting them come for you. Her face drained of all color. The men you tried to hire? I said. They don't take betrayal lightly. They don't like failure. And they sure as hell don't forget. Her knees buckled. You wouldn't? You. I'd never dirty my hands on you, I said softly. But they will. And I won't stop them. She left that night. Panicked. Hands shaking as she shoved whatever she could into a suitcase. Zippers half done, heels clattering against the pavement. I watched from the porch as she drove off into the early morning dark, her taillights blinking under the flicker of the dying street lamps. Then I turned back inside. Walked past the blown-out door. Past the silence that now lived where lies once did. Into the kitchen where the coffee maker still blinked. 2:43 a.m. I poured a cup. Sat down. Took a slow sip. The taste was bitter. But it was the taste of freedom. Some ghosts you bury. Others, you leave to haunt the ones who tried to dig your grave.